Thumbs up from everybody. Everybody good? A long-term investigation by the Multi-Agency Gang Unit, which consists of your Shelby County Sheriff's Office, your Memphis Police Department, your FBI, your District Attorney's Office, as well as ATF, DEA, and a host of other law enforcement agencies, has recently resulted in the indictment of 40 people for dealing death and destruction on this street. What you are standing in front of is the hub, the distribution center for a myriad of deadly drugs and for daily doses of destruction. Law-abiding, hard-working citizens live on this street and every day had to face a traffic jam of those who knew they could come to this street for drugs, who knew they could come to this street to get illegal drugs. In addition to the deadly drug distribution, guns, convicted felons, you name it, an array of issues that plague this community was all happening and centered right here. We wouldn't be standing here today without the hard work and dedication of the law enforcement agencies that I've mentioned. Judge Standridge of our environmental court, at the request of our office and of the city attorney's office, has shut this distribution center down, has said no to this death distribution home, and told law enforcement to come out, paddle it up, board it up, and we'll see you in court. Of the 40 that have been indicted, not all have been rounded up. There are, I believe, 30 or so that have been, 24 of the 40 who have been served with their indictments and will have their cases handled in the criminal courts of Shelby County. The prosecution of these cases will be handled by our crime strategies and narcotics prosecution unit. I can't stress enough how much this angers us, how much this frustrates us in law enforcement, those of us who fight day in and day out for the law-abiding citizens of this community, no matter what street you live on. Driving here this afternoon, I was struck by the fact that on any given day of the week, one of us might be in Fraser, be in this community, talking with, working with leaders who are doing everything they can to make this community stronger for the children who attend the schools nearby. And yet you have individuals like these 40 who are determined to do everything they can to destroy their own lives and not care about the lives they take down with them. Again, can't say enough about the hard work and dedication and focus of our multi-agency gang unit. This is what motivates them every day, is to find these men and women and to bring them to justice and to clean up these streets and these communities one block at a time. With that, I will turn it over to Sheriff Bonner.
Good afternoon, and thank you, General Wyrick. As General Wyrick has said, this is a great day in North Memphis. The citizens of Memphis and Shelby County, and especially this neighborhood, deserves better. I want to personally thank the multi-agency gang unit for their hard work, and trust me, this is hard work, gaining or getting the evidence that's needed to shut these type of places down. As the General said, only 24 have been arrested, and we're going to be making additional arrests. So be mindful that this is not over, and we will probably be coming to a neighborhood near you if this type of action, these type of transactions continue across our city. We're going to do our best to make sure that all the citizens of Memphis and Shelby County are safe. Thank you. I think Deputy Chief Crow.
Thank you, Sheriff Bonner. Good afternoon, everyone. I do want to be brief, but I want to take a moment and just express our appreciation and recognition for the detectives that have worked on this investigation. Multiple months. This type of investigation is not a 9-to-5 Monday job. Our detectives were out here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is detectives from the Memphis Police Department, detectives from the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, federal agents or federal partners, all working together under the multi-agency gang unit. And it takes a tremendous amount of man hours and manpower to build these kind of cases. And the risk that they took to investigate this drug case is just unbelievable. So we always want to appreciate our officers, our deputies, our agents for what they do each and every day to help bring some order and calm to this unlawful activity. And a word to drug users. So we know that heroin fentanyl overdoses are up about 3% for the year. The fatal overdoses are up about 80% year to date. And so when you purchase an illegal narcotic from one of these open air markets, you have no idea what you're putting in your body. And so what someone is telling you may be a Percocet, you're probably getting a homemade pill full of fentanyl. And so stop using these illegal drugs. You're risking your life doing it. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, how long has this investigation been going on? A year-long investigation, or how long?
2018? 2018. Yes, ma'am. And just to give you guys a little bit, last month, the 32 that have been arrested were taken into custody. 17 weapons were confiscated on that day. 4 pounds of cocaine, 4 pounds of marijuana, a dozen cars, 300 pills of ecstasy, MDMA, oxycodone, and hydrocodone.
I'm just curious.
Yes.
Point of clarification of the question. 32 people in this investigation have been arrested, or 20?
Well, I think it's 24. Our press release says 32, but I think it's 24. But those are what was seized at the time of the arrest. Yes, 24.
Can anyone explain, if it was so flagrant, can anyone explain why it took so long to shut it down? It seems like it took a couple of years involved.
Well, I may turn that over to, they're all looking away from me. Who wants to? Winston?
What's your question again?
Why did it take so long to shut it down?
If it was so flagrant and so blatant, why did it take so long to shut it down?
As the general and as Assistant Chief Crow and Sheriff Bonner said, this was a long investigation. It was not an investigation that we're going to come in 1 week, 7 days to wrap up. This was an investigation not only on drugs, but also on gang activity. So to answer your question, we have investigators, and some cases take much longer than necessary. And this case took us 3 years to get done today what we wanted to get done.
Question that maybe sent to the Attorney General. To the homeowner, a property owner who would say, one person lives in Utah, maybe some people live locally, were they ever warned, were they ever told, like, you got some problems, people living here, operating out of your home, you need to do something about this, or we will?
That I don't know. I'm assuming no.
No, that would be no, because if we did that, then we're putting our investigation in jeopardy. So we would not tell them that, because during the investigation, we're not going to tell anybody what we're doing, because it jeopardizes the officers, and we're not going to do that. It's a safety thing, and they'll find out afterwards.
And getting back to the question about the length of time, I think it's important to remember too, sometimes we just declare a property a nuisance or ask the judge to declare a property a nuisance. We come down and shut it down. We're doing that in addition to very complex and 40 indictments. It takes a lot of work and effort on behalf of law enforcement that puts the case together, and then our prosecutors getting those cases ready for grand jury and submitted to grand jury.
You see spin-off investigations and arrests because of this in other areas.
Yes.
You would elaborate, man.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I sorry. We can't. We can't. Any other questions?
D.A. Warwick.
Yes.
What gangs were involved? Can you name some gangs that were involved with it?
Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples. And Vice Lords and Gangster Disciples that we know of. There may be other groups involved, and as Deputy Chief Crow said and as Sheriff Bonner said, We're not going to all go home and put our feet up on the desk. This continues day in and day out. Law enforcement investigating, making these cases so that we can bring safety and peace to the good law-abiding citizens of this community. Nobody deserves to have to live on a street with a deadly drug distribution center next door.
Were these people tenants or squatters or both?
I don't think either. I think they were just a little bit of both. But using it for their drug activity, right?
With it being, the GDs and the DLs, they're rivals. Are y'all kind of concerned now that they're kind of joining together, which will make it even possibly harder for you guys with them, since they're two rival gangs that are, they work together on this?
Well, that's not a new thing, and I'll get Winston up here again to talk a little bit more. That joinder for the benefit of themselves and to make some money and destroy lives is not a new thing. But I think, again, it underscores the great work of the men and women of these law enforcement agencies that don't let those obstacles get in their way and do the job anyway.
To answer your question, what's plaguing Memphis and mostly other cities throughout the United States, metropolitan, even small towns like Jackson, Tennessee, is the majority of your nationwide gangs that they all come from the same community. So you may have a Crip here, you may have a Vice Lord here, you may have a GD over there. What they'll come together and say, we live in the same neighborhood now. And now that's when we come up with these hybrid gangs. I'm not going to call any names. I'm not going to put a spotlight on them to give them the credit. But they come up with the hybrid gangs, and they're friends. And yes, that's one of the problems that are plaguing in Memphis. And that's what MGU, Memphis Police Department, Shelby County Sheriff, federal partners, that's what we are here to do, and we're going to get it done.
Lieutenant, can you describe how blatant was the drug market? I mean, it is in the news release, but give us an idea of how ridiculous was it? I mean, were some of your officers like, this is crazy? Give us an idea.
To answer your question, Mr. Core, it's ridiculous no matter where it's at. One too many. And for it to go on, as we stated earlier to you, a 3-year investigation, to me, that answers your question, that it was a long and, as you stated, ridiculous operation that was happening here in the 1300 block of Standridge.
What has the neighborhood said to this, for the ones that, try to make honest living in this neighborhood? Kind of, what have they said to y'all since y'all shut this down now?
Well, this morning we came out here. It was hot. It's hotter now. And as we leave, we have people saying, thank you. Thank you. It's a shame that they can't come to us in person and say it because they're afraid. And that's law enforcement and other partners in Memphis. That's our responsibility to make sure that these people can come back and have their kids come out here play. Don't have to worry about gunfire or drugs or needles or anything on the ground.
Thank you.